Now, talking about destroying the West from within, I want to play you a clip of former President Barack Obama claiming here that it's Republicans and generally those on the right who push angry, divisive, us-them politics.
The other side does the mean, angry,
demagoguery,
exclusive, us-them, divisive politics. That's their home court.
Yeah.
Our court is coming together.
Oh, wow. Josh, what's your response to that wild projection from the former president?
Doesn't this guy have better things to do with his time? I mean, that's actually literally my first take. We all saw Hillary Clinton there speaking at the Munich Security Conference. And, whether it's her or Barack Obama, don't these old Democrats, do they have nothing better to do with their time? Does Hillary Clinton not prefer to go shill for the Qatar-sponsored Clinton Foundation? Does Barack Obama not prefer to go shill with Michelle Obama on their multi-million-dollar Netflix package? Why do this? First of all, historically speaking, it was the job of former presidents to basically fade into obscurity. And it's very notable that Barack Hussein Obama was the first president to not leave Washington, D.C. I cannot emphasize this point enough, Rita. There was a long tradition going back a century and a half, a very, very long time in America, where you would physically move out because that was a symbol that you were going to remove yourself and fade out of the public eye. George W. Bush, for instance, he had many flaws as a president, but to his great credit, he went totally out of the picture there. He went back to Dallas, Texas. He focused on painting. He was taking art classes. Can't Barack Obama just take art classes? He's just such a narcissist. He just can't avoid the public image. So that's my very first takeaway. I think the second takeaway is, dude, what are you smoking? This is the guy who famously, on the precipice of being elected president in 2008, said that he was out there and that he was going to stick it to the bitter clingers who were bitterly clinging to their guns and their religion. Just days before he was elected over John McCain, he said that we are days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. And it should be self-evident that one does not seek to fundamentally transform that which he loves. And frankly, most Americans love their country. So you want to talk about divisive? Well, that was pretty divisive. His whole presidency was divisive, actually. The Obamacare statute, the Iran nuclear deal, the this, the that there. When he famously stood over Paul Ryan, Eric Cantor and said, hey, guys, I won, you lost, as his justification for passing Obamacare. So he's the last person in the world who should talk about this there. The chutzpah, frankly, is through the roof. But again, as I said, this is the guy who famously refused to move out of D.C. because he just thinks that he is that much brighter and more special than everyone else. Guess what? He's not.
Well, maybe he didn't move out of DC because he had that infamous third term under the Biden years. There was a lot of conjecture about really who was calling the shots, because we know it wasn't Joe Biden. He was not cognitively sound throughout much of that presidency. Now, I mentioned earlier in Lefties Losing It that CNN has lost nearly 2/3 of its viewership since 2016, just an incredible decline. And when compared to the same part of the year in 2021, the drops were even more pronounced, Josh. 71% for prime time and 73% during the day. This is according to the latest Nielsen ratings. How can they reverse this, Josh? Or do they even have an appetite for reversing it? Because they have become an activist network. Ratings and breaking news don't seem to be a huge consideration.
Rita, frankly, I don't know that they actually want to turn this around. I genuinely am not, because frankly, viewers have been fleeing the network for years and years and years, and they've done virtually nothing to try to change course. There are precisely two people on CNN who are worth watching. One is my Salem colleague, Scott Jennings, who is absolutely amazing and owns the libs there on a seemingly day in, day out basis. The other is Harry Enton, who I've known since we were 18 years old. Harry and I go way back, who is just a very funny, well-spoken, purely objective, nerdy polls guy. He's no ideology, no policy, no nothing, just pure entertainment kind down the polls. So the only two people that have any kind of core viewership these days are, one, the token conservative, two, the totally non-ideological, nerdy polls guy there. As for all the other jokers there, Jake Tapper, Wolf Blitzer, Caitlin Collins, my God, there. I mean, who was watching these people? I mean, who was the person who was getting up in the morning and saying, "Oh my God, I cannot wait to see what Caitlin Collins or Erin Burnett says on CNN today." I mean, that demographic, to the extent that ever existed, simply does not exist anymore. And it's actually not just a cable news thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, people are fleeing cable news in general." Not true, actually. Fox News currently is putting up the greatest numbers in the history of American cable news. So people are definitely not fleeing Fox News. They're fleeing CNN faster than you could say Wolf Blitzer, though, because they've been offering the same barely warmed over pablum for years and years and years. And there's some rumors as to whether or not the owners might seek to divest CNN there. But either way, this is not going to have a happy ending if they continue on their current route.
Well, their digital traffic, as a lot of people point to online viewership, because that's growing at a rapid pace. But again, CNN seems to be struggling there against competitors. So it's the product, it's the content that people are rejecting.